Welcome, everybody, back to the Friar Talk podcast and YouTube channel. For today's episode, we're going to be talking about a very, very rough Padres-Dodgers series where the Dodgers swept the Padres and not only swept the Padres, but just pretty much destroyed the Padres game in and game out. So it's definitely a rough one. Now, we're not going to be extremely pessimistic as Padres Twitter's become over the last couple of days because I think everyone's freaking out a little bit too much. But it definitely was a brutal series. So, Isaac, I know you share the same feelings in terms of a lot of people being real upset is kind of like, guys, let's take a step back. It kind of makes a little bit of sense. But you want to go into kind of what you had to say about it all?
I mean, it's a tough series. Of course, it's a tough series to lose considering you just got Juan Soto, Josh Bell, Brandon Drury, and you probably went in thinking this Padres team's going to at least put up a really, really solid competition against the Dodgers and show like this is the second best team in the NL. And they go out there and do the opposite of that rather than look like the second best team in the NL. They look like the total opposite. Sean Manaya goes out there and has a really rough outing. Granted, Brandon Drury I thought they should have both been errors. Um, we actually just postponed the Soto giveaway because it is not the time. So tune in on Tuesday, at like 6 or 7, whatever it is. At the same time, though, like, yes, it was a really rough series. Everybody struggled. I can't think of a single guy that stood out, in my opinion. Manaya goes out there, has a rough outing again against the Dodgers. That's not somebody that we're going to be throwing against the Dodgers in a playoff series or in any sort of big series. Manaya's our number 5, so granted that sucked, and he's had some rough outings in the past. It's all right. Um, you had Clevenger go out there, and I expected more. I did expect more. He was having a really, really solid outing up until that Max Muncy bomb where he left one hanging, and that totally changed the outcome of his outing. So that was really rough to see Mike Clevenger get roughed up. I wouldn't even say roughed up. He just, left one up in the zone, and Max Muncy took advantage of it. Just one bad pitch, 2 bad pitches, whatever it was, and he acknowledged that. But he's still good. Yu Darvish, as expected against the Dodgers, outside of one outing against them, maybe 2, has a fantastic outing against the Dodgers, continues that streak. If we were to play the Dodgers in a 3-game playoff series, whatever it is, Snell and Darvish are my 1 and 2 for sure. But even at the plate, man, we weren't putting up runs. So even if the other team was mashing, or even if they struggled a little bit, we didn't put up enough runs to win. We put up one in the first game, none in this game. We looked overmatched. Definitely like significantly overmatched. With that being said, there's no reason to panic. The Dodgers are 28-5 since the start of July. 28-5. They are the hottest team in baseball and are on track to win 100 games again. Granted, winning 100 games has not done anything for them in the past other years that they've won 100 games. There's nothing to be worried about. It is never about which team is the best going into the playoffs. It is always about who's the hottest. Always. Normally, the team that beats the Dodgers in the playoffs goes on to win the championship. So, it's always about who goes in the hottest. Hopefully, that team is the Padres. We do have 9 games left against the Dodgers. We're 8-2 against them in these last 10. Last year, it was the Padres who was 7-3 against them through 10, and then we got swept the rest of them. So hopefully, it's a little bit of a turn this year where the Padres take 5 or 6 of the next 9 and show that we are able to compete. That series was kind of just it was just a fluke. So ran into one of the hottest team in baseball at the wrong time. Still feel very optimistic about this team. We play only like 2 or 3 more teams that are above 500. The Phillies have the Brewers have a tough schedule. The Phillies still play the Mets 7 times, the Braves 7 times, the Jays a few times. So I still feel very optimistic about this Padres team, man. I think too many people are jumping off board way too fast.
Yeah, and I've noticed that a lot. And I get the frustration just because it was a pretty rough series. But I think like once you kind of take a step back and go like, all right, the Padres are still missing Fernando Tatis. I see Gil talking about him in the comments. Soto's been here for what, 3 games? 4? No, 5 games now. I think 5 games. Same with Bell. Same with Drury. Like these guys are still getting acclimated. It's going to take a little bit. I also saw some people talking about Machado's slump. Machado's slump hasn't really been that big of a deal lately. Over his last 7 games, he has almost an 800 OPS, and over his last 15, he has over a 750. So it's not like it's been that bad. It's been a little bit overplayed. Machado had a really crappy air though. That was a brutal air. Like that was like no way around it. Now it's going to happen over the course of a season. I mean, hasn't really done that much, but it was a rough one. I think also like you're looking at this team standings wise. Who are you competing with? Like you're not like not anymore. Like you're really not competing with the Dodgers for the division, but you're competing with the Brewers, the Cardinals, and the Phillies. Those are the main teams, and the Braves too. The Braves didn't look good. Just look completely overmatched against the Mets. The Brewers are on a downward spiral. The Phillies have a bunch of games. It's against the Brewers and the Cardinals, I believe. Like the Phillies have a pretty tough schedule ahead of them. Oh no, it's the Mets, right? They play 7 games against the Mets in the next two
Phillies
weeks.
play 7 games against the Mets.
Yeah, so you look where the Padres are at. The other teams kind of in the same boat as the Padres are about to hit their skid in a couple of weeks, probably as well, or over the next couple of weeks. So Padres got to take care of business. Ultimately, these Giants games are going to be super, super important because if you lose a lot of games to the Giants, all of a sudden they're in the mix too, and that is not where you want to be. Like you want and the Giants have been struggling too. So it was a no Rodon this series, which is clutch. Now I think it's going to be what it was Wood. Oh, I forget Junis, Wood,
Cobb,
and Cobb. Yeah, and Cobb. So not amazing starters, but yeah, I don't. Yeah, I know it's definitely been a rough series in this one, but like I was saying, like I don't think it's anything to panic over. But it was just kind of demoralizing.
It was
like, and it's just I don't know. You're gonna run into some of those, but I mean, what did you say? 28-5.
28-5, man.
That is absurd. That is so hot. That's insane. And plus, these guys are still gonna have to mesh for a little bit. Yeah, the Cards swept the Yankees. The Cards I think the Cards are going to take their division. Was that
7?
Central?
They won 7 in a row.
And that's what I was kind of thinking. I think when we were talking about the playoffs.
Yeah, I think we both said the Cards will overtake the Brewers. I think we also said the Braves will overtake the Mets. That one's not looking too good, but I mean, there's still so much ball left, man. There's still so much ball left, and there's no reason to panic over a series where we're facing a team that's 28-5 since the start of July. That's like 14, 15, maybe even 16 games ahead of us now. Like you said, we're not competing with the Dodgers. We want that rivalry to happen. We want a rivalry so bad. Like, trust me, I want it. But I can acknowledge it is not a thing right now. We are too overmatched. If we go into September and beat them 6-7 times and face them in the playoffs, yeah, sure. Then it can be a little bit of a rivalry because it's two heavyweights. Clearly, the Padres have been making these moves to stack up against the Dodgers. So yeah, then it can be a little bit of a rivalry. But right now, it is absolutely not. It can't be one-sided.
Yeah. I gotta just say, just because Isaac, you made me think of it, but I'm a Niners fan. You guys know that. Over the past like 4 years, not in the same sense maybe, but in a similar sense, the whole Dodgers Padres thing was the same boat for the Niners and the Rams. Yep. The Niners would beat the Rams very, very often, almost every single time they'd meet. And even if they had like Nick Mullins or someone at quarterback, they'd still beat them. And then the Rams go in the one playoff game they've had, the Rams beat them and then win the Super Bowl that year. So kind of reverse for my sake. But like that's kind of the role where the Padres are at as the Dodgers, in my opinion. So, I mean, we see this all the time in sports, but I don't know. You just made me think about that, though.
Yeah, of course. I mean, anything could happen in the playoffs, man. You just got to get there. Blake Snell even said it himself. You just got to get there. And are the worries warranted? In a sense, yes, because the Phillies just overtook us for that 5th spot in the playoffs, and teams are catching ground on us, so it is warranted. At the same time, we ran into the Dodgers at an unfortunate time, and we still have. I mean, I heard we have the shortstop coming back. I forgot who it was. Some guy that puts up like a 7 or 8 WAR. Hits 40 bombs, steals a few bags, does double jumps. I mean, he's pretty good. So I think he's going to make an immense. Also, the most electrifying player in baseball. So, I'm pretty sure he's going to make a difference. I know he's starting a little slow in the minors right now, but who cares? Luke Voigt was like 0 for 100 with like 100 strikeouts. Obviously, that's exaggerated, but he came up and he ended up being useful for the Padres.
I forgot about that. He was doing horrible. Everyone was like, dude, what's wrong with this guy?
Yeah, everyone was hating, bro.
It was fair. I mean, it was kind of concerning. It was like, dude, he's done what in his rehab?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm trying to look at the comments and stuff. Like, yeah, I'll start to panic if we don't take care of these bad teams, man. I think last year, even down the stretch last year, yeah, we had a pretty tough schedule, but even throughout that tough schedule, we'd play the Rockies and still lose. So, just got to take care of business, man. Take care of business. Get to the get just get there, man. Get there, and we'll see what happens. But Cards have won 7 in a row. Other than that, the Braves have been struggling. The Phillies, yeah, they caught fire, but dude, they just played the Nationals, bro. Like they've been having one of the easiest schedules as of late. That is gonna about to turn for the Padres, and they're about to play the Mets and the Braves a total of 14 times these next 2 months. And then the Brewers have been taking a little bit of a downward spiral. Also, like we're not the only team struggling. Even out of all the wild card teams, yeah, we're not the only team struggling. Struggles happen throughout the season. You face a tough team, get your ass whooped, you get knocked down. So hopefully they're able to get back up and take care of business the rest of the way for sure.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Okay, so I got to bring this up because I don't know how long we're going to go live tonight, but I do have to talk about this because I saw this on, and people did not like my take on Twitter. Devin, I had the same take as you. Now, here's the thing: people don't like the idea of the Padres going and getting Franmil Reyes because they want a guy that can be like a speed threat, like a defensive substitute. And people want a lefty, but guys, the Padres just added Bell, who's what, a switch hitter, and Soto, who's a lefty. So they just added two lefties. Like, I would rather have Franmil than Mazar on the bench. I get Franmil sucked, but as kind of like a reclamation project, the dude almost has an 800 career OPS. The Padres do not have much power on their bench, like if at any. Like you have all the defensive guys on your bench, right? Like so, I don't know. I love the idea of bringing Franmil in, but some people really hated it, and I didn't. I know you're not like don't like it as much as me,
Yeah,
Isaac, but
I'm not. I don't hate the idea. I just can. I'm thinking, all right, if he were whatever major league team he comes up to, let's say he comes up to a very talented team like the Padres, I would assume he's probably going to be down in the minors for a while. See what happens there. Hopefully, he gets his power back. Hopefully, he gets his swing back. And if he were to, take care of business down in the minors, then yeah, you can warrant him being in the major leagues. He is more of a reclamation project. I mean, strikes out as much as Gallo. As soon as I saw he was DFA'd, I looked into his stuff. I was like, all right, before I say anything, because the vibes are immaculate, man. That dude's vibes. He's if there was a statcast thing for vibes, that dude's 100 percentile. But you got to look at the rest. Emotions tend to overtake a lot of stuff, and that especially for us Padre fans, I can heavily admit emotions do take over a lot. Strikes out as much as Gallo, has almost the same expected batting average as Gallo, has a lower slugging percentage than Eric Hosmer. There's a lot of negatives around his 2022 season. There's a lot of positives around his past. It is one of those where it's so much upside, man. And I don't think he lost it. I think it's kind of always he strikes out a lot. He does strike out a lot, but that's the major leagues now. So that's more of a project. That is a very fun project nonetheless. Like I said, the vibes are immaculate. That's a guy that's super fun. But in terms of being able to produce for a major league team this year, a playoff caliber major league team, I don't see it. And that's just I'm just trying to be honest with myself. I don't see it as far as this year. Maybe next year though. I think next year he could. He just needs some time, man. I think he needs some time to figure it out because he's shown what he's got before. He's never been a bad hitter. Has he been a fucking horrendous fielder? Yes. Horrible base runner. Yeah, he's slow as rocks. He's slow as turtles, whatever you want to say. But at the plate, the guy hits for power. Even though he hasn't shown it this year, and I don't think he'll show it the rest of the year wherever he goes, he hits for power. So, we'll see what happens. I doubt we claim him just because we're really low on the waiver chart, like 24th. But, just got to see what happens.
yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking too. It's like they're probably not even gonna have a chance to get him. I think someone commented that on my tweet, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I don't think they will either. But I just like the idea of having some more power. Also, if someone goes out, you're gonna need more power. Like that's the whole thing that we've talked about with slugging. Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just wanted to bring that one up. But overall, I mean, this series was definitely a rough one. Uh, Manaya though, that's not a guy you're probably gonna see pitch against the Dodgers too much. Like, I mean, definitely not in like a playoff series.
No.
He's been getting rocked lately. Manaya has got killed.
Yeah.
Um, that's been a really brutal thing to see in the second half, or not even the second half, but a little bit before.
Hmm.
Clev threw what, two sliders that hung in the middle of the plate,
Yeah.
and they got capitalized on.
Hmm.
Darvish looked awesome. The offense just did not show up. You're getting Fernando back. Like there's, guys are coming. So definitely a rough series overall. But like you were saying, I don't think it's a time to panic.
No.
Um,
Let's go ahead and let's look into Sean Manaya because I feel like there's a lot of kind of deferring opinions on him. I still like Manaya. I can admit he's like a number 5 on our team. Hasn't looked good at all. Won't see a playoff start, but for number 5, I'll take it. Um, can acknowledge he's been heavily struggling though. Just pulled up his baseball savant. Let me go and pull it up for everyone.
yeah,
There
I
you
also
go.
see some people talking about Potter should have gone. Oh yeah, but we'll talk about that after. Yeah, this
Yes,
is about pitching. Oh, I mean,
you know,
this is not too pretty.
yeah, it's not too pretty, right? And you go ahead and look at his past years. I know his his 2019 or 2018 was his best year, but expected ERA has always been pretty freaking horrific. Um, but look at
His
his best
expected
year.
ERA this year is a lot better than what it is.
Yeah, it's low fours. Um, this was one of his bad years here in 2020. Expected ERA of 3.96. 2019 was a good year for him. 2019, I mean, it's still not. There's not much, but still not that good. He's always been one of these hella blue guys, though. Like there's never been much red. He's been heavily reliant on his movement and everything. Um, but like yesterday or his start the other day, I was like, damn, like his velocity's up quite a bit. Um, and even then, it still didn't work out. His worst pitch right now is his changeup, best pitch slider, curveball, struggling with his sinker, but he's not getting a lot of. He was getting some velocity the other day. He was pumping like 95, dude, like 94, 95, surprisingly. When normally he's sitting 92, 93, maybe. He was getting some velocity on it. Still didn't work out because it's the Dodgers and they're just very good team. Um, but I do have faith that he's going to be a much more serviceable pitcher. Starting these next few starts, especially against some easier teams, he's going to give us some solid starts. Hopefully, maybe he just needs to grow the beard back. I don't know. Um, maybe just cut his hair again. I don't know. Hopefully, but he'll change something up. Um, the pitching rotation is not going to stay like this. I think one thing that's been heavily understated, maybe we haven't talked about it enough because it just probably came to our attention. The pitching rotation's not been what it usually is. There's two main culprits. Unfortunately, sucks. I love them both. They're two of my favorite guys. It's been Manaya and Musgrove. Two rough patches that I am fully confident they'll be able to get out of, especially Joe Musgrove. If I were to pull up, yeah, it's been both Manaya and Musgrove. If I were to pull up Musgrove's baseball savant, you guys would be like, oh, nothing to worry about. He's gonna be fine. He's gonna be super fine. He went through these rough patches last year. Manaya's never been like. I mean, he had a career ERA of 3.81. He's always gonna be high three guys because he doesn't throw very hard, doesn't have crazy movement, but he's always been a serviceable pitcher. That is what AJ Preller got him for, to be a serviceable pitcher. So, with that being said, the pitching's not going to stay like this. The pitching's going to be much better down the road. Yu Darvish is still doing his thing. Mike Clevenger hung two pitches. Is always a healthy Mike Clevenger is always one of the better pitchers in baseball. Blake Snell, after the All Star break, is one of the best pitchers in baseball. The rotation's going to be fine. The lineup, dude, you just got Juan Soto, Josh Bell, Brandon Drury, and you're getting a 7 to 8 WAR shortstop back. Everything's going to be okay. Like, we're very optimistic because there's all the signs point to everything being fine for this team. Whereas last year, yes, I was optimistic just because I was like, I didn't want to believe. I didn't want to believe that this team sucked. But it's much different, you know?
But also, it's more like we were just being optimistic for like the hitting to return. But like
Yeah.
we were like, dude, there's no starters. Are they gonna call someone up? Nope, they're gonna go sign Velasquez.
And Marietta. Yep.
Like yeah, like that's the thing. Like that ended up being the problems, and then injuries just kept piling on. So I think definitely a lot different. But also, like you just went and made that powerful deadline move. Yeah. Let's see. I mean, for Musgrove, I'm not too worried about it because like you were saying, it's the same thing that happened last year. Um, it's not like, and also you look at his starts, like it's like his last 7 starts, he has a 5 ERA. because he got rocked a couple times. It's not like it's a disaster. Manaya's has been a lot worse. It's been like his last 7 starts, he has like a 7 or 8 ERA. Like he's been getting killed. But yeah. So yeah, the big thing is though for me, like in terms of like playoff hunting and stuff, it's going to be those Giants games because you play them so much. And if you look at other teams, like we were talking about, who was it? The Cardinals. They played the Phillies and the Phillies played the
They played the
Mets
Mets 7
and the
times.
Braves, huh?
7 times. Yep.
Yeah. The Padres kind of version of that is playing the Giants. So that's the team that you really got to beat because else they can gain on you. If you take care of business against the Giants, you should make the playoffs for sure. Now, I know these, like the Fangraphs odds aren't really the best thing, but they have the Padres at like a 90% chance to make the playoffs right now, which it's weird because they're only a game and a half up. But then like you look at the other teams, okay, that might make a lot of sense actually. And you look at the games too, because like the games kind of dictated as well. Like, okay, one of these teams is going to have to lose, and it's like a bunch of those. Which is kind of cool about the end of the season being like a bunch of division games and stuff like that. And maybe that's actually a little bit just because of the shortened season, right? Like because of the lockout, because they had to kick them down a little bit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like because it was like because usually like early on in the season you play a lot of divisional games.
Yeah.
So it actually makes it kind of more exciting down the stretch.
Absolutely.
I guess the only positive thing from the lockout for fans.
Absolutely. I saw a few questions being asked. Campusano,
Next
I'm
year.
really keeping up. Yeah, I think he's more next year, but September call up possibly. The only problem is like who's he gonna catch? The guys that we'd normally see him catch. Like obviously he worked a lot with Mackenzie Gore in the minors. Like I would imagine if Mackenzie Gore was still on the team, it'd justify bringing up Campusano a little more. Same thing like if Ryan Weathers was up here, or if maybe Chris Paddock was still with us, like it would justify him being there. But I can't really think of who he'd catch right now because Darvish works so well with Nola. Musgrove works very well with Nola. So does Snell. Like a lot of these pitchers actually work really well with Nola, whereas Manaya and Alfaro go together, and then Clevenger can really throw to whoever. Like I think they're just very comfortable with each other right now. So it's very hard to justify Campusano being called up from a defensive perspective. Offensively, Nola sucks, and Campusano provides a lot more upside. So that is the justification of why Campusano could be called up as in September, but it's just hard because you don't know who he's gonna catch.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like he's like in the Padres' plans next year, either as like a third catcher DH kind of role, maybe first base. People have talked about that potentially like an offseason plan. Now you have to actually see if he can play the position well, but also like maybe you don't bring Alfaro back. Maybe he's kind of I don't know. Like he could definitely play the Alfaro role. But Alfaro's been really good this year, so you don't really want to lose him. But I mean, Campy's like, I know that his numbers haven't looked good when he's been up, but we've talked about it before. He's made really hard contact, and he has like 30 at bats. It's like such a small sample size. It's like, all right, we can kind of take that with those numbers with a grain of salt. But there has been a lot of hard contact, so that's like the big positive thing I'd say from him. Besides that, does Hosmer look better or worse on the Red Sox?
Oh, good. You were gonna pull that up too.
Yeah. He's 2 for 10.
Yeah.
So.
I think they like him a lot better than we do. If that helps. I've seen some fans be like, "Oh, finally a serviceable first baseman," and it's like,
dude, everyone's like, "Bro, just wait, man."
Yes. So it's like, I mean, I would like him if he was free too, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Hogwatch got called out by a Dodgers fan. That sucks. I guess
he was at the game.
Yeah, he was at the game in some Padres stuff. So I can imagine.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, let's see. I wonder where he's sitting. If he was sitting in what was it, left field?
Yeah, I don't know.
That'd probably be
That's
rough.
Yeah.
I feel for anyone that was at today's game.
Yeah.
We got Lemeka DFA'd. Yeah, the Mets are rocky right now.
Yeah.
He's kind of getting tossed around on just like he's back in the NL West at maybe the worst place to go. Like I feel bad for him, bro. In Colorado, after you get like traded and then released, that's like the worst scenario. So I'm feeling bad for Lamet. Will Myers was solid at first. Yeah, I want to see Will Myers back at first a little bit. Center field, very sus.
Don't.
Um,
I hate that. I hated that he was out in center field. And
dude, he almost
when,
ran into Soto right away.
yeah, exactly. I hated it. Actually, at first base he did look good. Like I'm not gonna lie, he
Dude, he
looked
looked
pretty good.
nice.
Like he looks like it's so nice having a freaking athlete at first base because like, bro, you know how many outfielders would probably be so good at first base because it's like super easy compared to playing any other position. Will Myers goes out to first base and looks like a stud compared to any other position he's ever played. It
Yeah.
really is like it's great having an athlete there. So Will Myers looked fantastic at first base for sure. It's just gonna be a matter of like taking weaknesses out of your lineup. I think the hardest weakness to take out of your lineup is going to be Austin Nola, just because of how often how much chemistry he does have with some of these pitchers. Um, Ha-Seong Kim, Ha-Seong Kim is having himself a solid season, especially compared to last year. Like he's made tons of improvements. He had a nice little streak going on in July. Um, Takes advantage of a lot of easy teams, I would say, because you look at he had a hit today, but games against like the Dodgers and stuff, he doesn't look great defensively. 7 outs above average, fantastic, one of the best fielders in baseball. With that being said, he's going to be somebody I absolutely want in against lefties with Tatis in center, and against righties, Tatis at short and Grisham at center. I think that is what they're going to do. That's going to be the best way to utilize those two players, being Grisham and Ha-Seong Kim. Will Myers, I don't know. He's going to get his playing time though, so. Um, yeah, I mean, it's a good situation to have. I think we'll be all right. Do we underrate the Dodgers? Honestly, I don't think so. I mean, I've been saying for the past whatever it is that there's players that go to that team and say, the Dodgers have shown us stuff that we've never seen before, and that's why they're so great at developing. Major props to them for being able to develop such amazing players because, guys like Tyler Anderson go to them and become some amazing pitchers. Same thing with guys like Corey Knebel, and in terms of hitters, Max Muncy and Justin Turner, they're fantastic at developing, and major props to them for sure.
Yeah, and I was gonna say I think we both had the Dodgers as the best team in the league.
Yeah.
Like predicting the season too. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. I mean, they definitely have a bottom to top really really good organization, and their player development is so absurd.
Yeah.
But I do see some stuff about Machado. Did you think that play was a lack of hustle from Machado? I thought the angle did him dirty. I thought there's no play for him to make there. That was my thought.
Okay.
Because I saw that after, but that didn't even like pop in my head when I watched it. Because
Yeah.
if you hit it into the shallow outfield, it's never the infielder that ends up getting it. Very
Yeah.
rarely.
Yeah.
Like
No.
if it goes pretty deep.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What did you think?
So he wasn't gonna make a play on that. No matter what. Even if he got there, hustles to the ball, there was no play to be made. But I mean, normally when you make an error, you're running 110%, trying to at least get the ball in, do what you can, so that way. Because I mean, who knows? Mookie might have scored. Like he didn't score, but he was like halfway down the line, ready to score. So, you know, I would have appreciated if he did hustle. With that being said, there's no play to be made, nothing to be done. Both me and my brother were watching. We're like, bro, go to the ball, like go. But like at the same time, no play to be made. The runner didn't score, so it's not that big of a deal. But everyone's gonna look at that one play and say Manny Machado doesn't hustle. That's ridiculous. Manny Machado is, when you get him on your team, you truly do appreciate his hustle and how. I mean, dude, the guy's playing on a bum ankle right now. Guy plays through major injuries, and he's still out there trying to put the team on his back and do things that Manny Machado normally does, and he's doing it at 60-70% at whatever it is right now. I mean, I appreciate Manny Machado for everything, for sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of there with you. And yeah, it was just a tough play. I mean, I thought the worst part of the play was that he made the error in the first place. That was the issue I had. I was like, dude, that's a horrible error. That was my thought. Like, dude, that was a brutal error. And he's also been slumped. He hasn't been slumping that bad, but he's definitely been slumping a little bit lately. So that on top of it makes it rough, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't think about the hustle stuff. I really didn't. Just seeing the play. But yeah, I don't know. Anything else you got? I don't really have much else.
Yeah, I guess I see a lot of people saying that the team seems deflated against the Dodgers. Well, I don't think it's really just the Dodgers in general. I think it's just you're getting your ass whooped, and that's pretty deflating in itself. Um, but yeah, I mean, they do look deflated. They do look defeated when they play the Dodgers. It's a very different vibe from last year, where the first 10 games it was like they came in just super super confident, man. Like they were so confident, and it showed on the field. Like they got Trevor Bauer last year, and they made some acquisitions, and the Padres didn't care. They took 7 of the first 10 from them, and after that, when they started losing guys, when you really saw, the confidence really decrease, and that's when things went wrong. Not only just against the Dodgers, but for the season in general. I would say a lot of that this year also is like, yeah, maybe they do lack some confidence against the Dodgers. They don't have Fernando. They didn't have Fernando the first 7 meetings. They didn't have, quite a few guys. Like they knew their lineup didn't stack up. Whereas this time, yes, our lineup does stack up no matter what for sure. But they're getting their asses kicked. So we'll see how they perform against them the next 9 games. The Dodgers aren't really the biggest worry to us. It's the wild card teams, um, But we'll just have to just play out the rest of the season, man. There's a lot of ball left against some pretty easy teams. We're not the only ones struggling in the wild card race right now, so let's just see how it goes the rest of the season. I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's time to panic.
Yeah, man. All right. I think that's probably going to do it for tonight, guys. On Tuesday, we're going to do the jersey giveaway there for the Soto jersey, and then you can just let us know your size, whoever wins it. But we're going to be doing that Tuesday night. I think we're going to be streaming at 6. Tomorrow, we'll probably have a video out, and we'll probably keep posting about 5 to 7 times a week. I'm thinking we're going to do I think we're going to do a stream on Tuesday and Wednesday this week. And then I think probably next Sunday as well. But yeah, definitely a rough series, but I mean, one you just got to bounce back from. Got to take care of business against the Giants. Then you have your next 9 games against teams under 500, and that's 2 against the Nationals and 1 against the Marlins. So 2 teams that you definitely can beat up on right there, and start extending that 1.5 game lead on the wild card, because it has definitely diminished a lot. In terms of Fernando coming back, the only things that they've really said are mid-August. So we'll have to see what that looks like. But I think that's probably it for tonight, guys. Thank you guys for hopping on. Brutal series. But Padres got to bounce back, and hopefully we see Juan Soto's first home run in this next series. So we'll talk to you guys very, very soon. Have a good night. See y'all.